sort of hits you with a quarterfinal likely against the Springboks. Do you welcome that sort of challenge of that path to a final?
Yeah, I guess if you beat the All Blacks, it'll give your team a lot of confidence to know you probably can beat anyone on your day. So obviously there's a lot of potential paths you go down. But if you get the Springboks quarterfinal, it'll be exciting, and it's a challenge which we're going to be ready for.
Hong Kong, China, and Chile. What do you know about them? Be the first one to try to face them.
Yeah, I honestly don't know too much about them, but got no doubt over the next year and a half there'll be a team all Australians will be keeping an eye on, because when you got them in the World Cup pool stage, you're going to have to know your team well.
You haven't beaten the All Blacks in the 11 tests. What do you need to do to beat?
Yeah, obviously that's been disappointing, but I felt this year in both tests we had opportunities. The game was there with 15 minutes to go and we didn't nail them, and hopefully where we're going as a team we can keep improving, and in the next year or two start winning a few of those big moments which we haven't won so far. And I know as a group we know we can beat them. We've shown to ourselves how capable we are, but we'll pull it together for 80 minutes.
What's the most important thing for the Wallabies to do over the next 2 years to get into the point end of the World Cup?
Win. Ultimately, we've got to be winning more games. That's where we want to be as a group. We're obviously very disappointed with the back end of the year. Wasn't the performances which we want to be putting out there, but saying that, we take a lot of confidence from some of our performances beating the best teams in the world this year.
And just Les Kiss, obviously he's your Reds coach, but is he ready to be Wallabies coach, and how do you think that coaching transition is going to go?
Yeah, I think it's awesome, that transition. It's obviously Les has a Super Rugby season to coach, so the fact that Joe's willing to coach another 3 games for us really helps that transition. And then Les to take over in the Japan test, it's really exciting. I know working under Les for a couple of years at Reds, he's a great coach, good person, and I know he's a person all Australians will get around and players will want to play for.
Is it an advantage that Les Kiss is going to have 3 years in a Super Rugby program before taking over the Wallabies? There hasn't been many recent Wallabies coaches that have had that.
Yeah, I'd say he'd know all the players very well, obviously coaching a fair few of them and coaching against a few of them. So he's very aware of what players' strengths, weaknesses are, and I hope it's an advantage because he's our next coach.
Let's just talking about pressure of the entire cup, and I have to answer that very quickly. What sort of expectation do you have? What will you be telling your teammates about that pressure?
Yeah, well, I guess the British Irish Lions series probably gave us a good taste of what it's going to be like. It was obviously a lot of pressure, which we probably hadn't tasted much in our Test career. The British Irish Lions at home, the extra scrutiny, it was very different for us. It was something I guess we all enjoyed, and obviously a home World Cup, it's obviously going to be massive. Myself personally, I haven't played a World Cup, so I'm not sure what the normal World Cup scrutiny is, but I imagine it's going to be pretty hectic when it's your home one.
How much does that fuel the fire right now? Having just played 3 and getting to do this on home soil, don't see in front of friends and family.
Oh, it'd be amazing. I know any person playing Super Rugby or has the ability to represent Wallabies want to be a part of this, because it's absolutely massive, and to represent your country at a World Cup would be amazing honour, but a home World Cup would be even more special.
If you're given a choice, would you rather play the All Blacks in the first game or have a couple to build up to them?
Oh, I'd like to get them straight away, to be honest. It's if it's the opening game of the World Cup, I reckon there'd be many better games to play than that one. So I know that's something everyone will be pretty excited for.
Thanks, Scotty.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Oh, been better, but we'll get there.
Thank you very much.
So just your initial reaction to that draw, because you're not going to be there when the World Cup rolls around, but
Yeah, no,
Paul's pretty exciting.
yeah, it's really exciting. I think the Wallabies will play them 4 times in the lead up, and it gives you a great opportunity to really plot a path to get up and organised for that game. And then Chile and Hong Kong, China, they're 2 newcomers that will challenge you in a different way, challenge you to keep that level of performance at a certain height, so that when you hit the round of top 16, you hit the ground running.
How much do those performances of the All Blacks this year maybe give the players confidence? I mean, it was a 2-point game, I think, at Eden Park with about 10 minutes to go. Like, must be some level of confidence there or opportunity there.
Yeah, and I think even then the following week in Perth, Will Skelton limps off after 12 minutes. We get the chance to go 13-7 ahead, and instead of that we lose Tom Hooper and we're 7-6 down. But even then we're 9-7 up after 30 odd minutes, and they get the kind of off the Geordie Barrett head and get the try. And so, that there wasn't too much between the teams in a lot of ways. So I'm excited about the pathway that we can plot in between now and the next time we play New Zealand. But then also beyond that, I know that Les is pretty excited about where the team can get to. And I just hope the supporters, we didn't have a good November, and I think it's impossible to hide that we didn't have a good November. There were glimpses though, and I think we can still build on those glimpses after a bit of an emotional roller coaster of a year. So Les is pretty excited to get started. Had a couple of good conversations with him today already.
Joe, are you planning on staying with Rugby Australia in any capacity through to the World Cup?
Not at this stage. I think at the end of July is when I finish, and I've just hugely enjoyed the group. They work really hard for what they get, and it will be tough to walk away and leave them in what I believe is good hands. So I think some of the other priorities I've got, I've had 2 weeks at home in the last 5 months. So I think getting home a bit more often will be the preference at this stage.
But Les asked, could he consider maybe like just before the tournament, like now that you've seen the excitement in the pools?
Yeah, look, I've had the privilege of coaching in 3 World Cups and loved and hated them in different measures, depending on how things work out. But I'd be good friends going back a fair way with Les, and so we'd always be chatting anyway.
Joe, the rough calculation, if you win that, likely meant South Africa in the quarterfinal. And that's a pretty tough way to get into the finals. But do you just have to take that chance head on?
Yeah, it wasn't too different last World Cup with New Zealand. You were either going to play South Africa in a quarterfinal or Ireland in a quarterfinal, and either way, it was going to be really tough. So if you're going to get into a final or into even a semi-final, you're going to have to beat good teams to get there. So, as I said, I wouldn't plot a path for sure, but you've got to be aware of who you're likely to meet. And I think the advantage of that is, South Africa really well. Players will have got some confidence, not just from Joburg, but in the game in Cape Town, we lost Tom Wright after 4 minutes. We lost Nick White after 11 minutes. Tate McDermott was limping after 17 minutes, and we thought we were going to replace him at halftime. And then Joseph Suaalii failed an HIA, and Hayne Edmed had to go in and play the second half at 12. And Tate had to muddle his way through the second half. And with 10 to go, we had a kick to go in front, conversion to go in front. So I think the team have shown the character to be able to challenge South Africa. I think we saw them get better and better as the year went on. They got maybe some of their combinations sorted, but on any given day, I still think the way this team can build their way forward on the confidence of some of the really good performances they've put together. And even, I know we didn't get the result against France, but there were glimpses of right from the kickoff what the team can do when they do have that confidence to play.
Joe Pender was asking, with Les Kiss pushing your arm, what about New Zealand Rugby came?
Yeah, Look, I'm not I'm not looking to be involved at all either side. I may well be in the stadium watching, and you know, I'd say that I'll just be delighted to be there and spectating, because I think Rugby World Cups they are really special occasions. You know, and having been at 3 of them, that just the whole atmosphere around them, it builds into a crescendo for match days, and some of the gatherings around stadiums and those sorts of things. I'm just excited that it's only 2 years away now, and I can't wait for it to come up, and in some ways I can't wait not to be involved so that I can just enjoy it, because it's pretty nerve-wracking when you're in the midst.
After a couple of weeks of reflection, Joseph Suale, do you think his best position is still at 13, or do you think that he might end up playing in the back 3 again?
Yeah, I think Joseph is reasonably happy with where he's playing at the moment. You know, he had a pretty bad head cold leading into the game against France, and that's why he came off, not because he was underperforming. He just was battling to even get into that game. For us, he's been really good. He's formed a really good combination with Len Ikito, and when it's not Lenny, it's Hunter Paisami, and he have formed a really good combination as well. So we do think that's a strong combination for us. The opportunity to play him at fullback is still potentially there. Tom Wright was outstanding for us when he was at fullback. Andrew Callaway, actually, the 2 Argentinian tests was really good, and put us back into both games with some really good running from the deep. So you know, there's a little bit to build on there in that back 3, because we've also got youngsters like Max Jorgensen, Dylan Peach. You know, Peachy is so combative, and Harry Potter's work rate, his mileage is unmatched with the amount of grass that he's covering, and you know, he obviously had some fantastic moments, not just against England when he holds up Ben Earl hurtling at the line at full speed, obviously intercepting that ball and going the length to score. But he's actually very good in the air. A couple of days that we weren't as good in the air as we would have liked against Ireland, for example, but it's something that he is good at. And I think, you know, even that day, the wind was actually pretty difficult. James Lowe dropped the sitter. Mac Hansen, who had a fantastic game in the air, dropped the sitter as well, just with that buffeting breeze. And I know the Aviva Stadium very well, and with that lowered end, the breeze comes in and it does whip around a bit.
Joe, have you got a sense in your mind how you want the transition to work with Les in terms of information sharing, dates, and just how that will kind of map out?
Yeah, well, the second test that we play is in Brisbane. I'd like to think Les, we'd both like to think that the Reds are going to go through to a final against the Brumbies or the Waratahs. But if that's not what happens, that Les gets a bit of breathing space, separates himself a bit from his past job. But by the time we get to Brisbane, we play a big test there against France. I think that would be the perfect opportunity for Les. Obviously, he's based in Brisbane. He could spend the whole week with us. Les came in the England week and the Ireland week on the November tour anyway. So it's not like he's miles away from what we're currently doing. And I think that a good chunk of the staff will stay the same anyway, so it won't be a complete transition.
The Wallabies had 6 number 10s throughout the is that the biggest area for the Wallabies to settle on a 10 for the World Cup?
Yeah, you know, I do think the 10 is such a hub for you know, what you're looking to achieve. They run so much of the game. They are the game driver. You know, that was one of the frustrations probably with Carter coming in. He picked up that injury, and then, you know, on the kind of the last play of the Thursday before we played France, he he pulled up a little bit lame. We were hoping that he might get through and be able to do the captain's run, but when that wasn't the case, Tane came in, and I think Tane has made good strides, and I think James O'Connor has really helped Tane. They spent a lot of time in South Africa together. There are other guys. Obviously, we started the Lions series with Tom Liner, and Tom did really well, but again, picked up injuries. And we know that Ben Donaldson's a good player as well. So we're going to be watching closely and how things go through Super Rugby, but some consistency at 10, it will help without a doubt. We've had a bit of consistency in the midfield, and not so much at halfback with the changes, but we've got good experienced players there. And so I guess we'll have to wait and see who comes through Super Rugby and who's playing well. But we feel we've got some options, just none of them with massive experience. Not like, I know that we've been drawn against New Zealand. They'll have probably the same 3 10s that we had when I was coaching there in the last World Cup with Richie Moanga, Bowden Barrett and Damien McKenzie, who have well over 200 tests between them. So that's a difference. It doesn't have to be an advantage if we've had the time to really develop someone in that position.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Cheers.
Nothing to do with this?
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.